I think we are moving into a world of machines and AI. So if our roles earlier was about capturing heart and minds of people, it is now moving into a heart and machines kind of a world. So I would say what will differentiate is us really driving emotional connect with our consumers. And that's something that is the reason why I'm saying we need to be even more empathetic, even more emotional. Human to human is something that is going to be so critical in the world of like LLMs in that sense, right? Language learning models and AIs in that sense.
This is You Should Talk To, a podcast for busy marketing leaders who are looking for support and tips on getting shit done. In each episode, Daniel Weiner interviews marketing leaders and discusses their experience, successes, and failures around hiring agencies. If you're interested in finding and choosing the right agency partner, then let's jump in.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the You Should Talk To podcast. I am Daniel Weiner, your host, your sponsor, your everything. You Should Talk To pairs brands and marketers for free with vetted agencies and or freelancers because finding great resources is an enormous pain these days. Super excited to be joined today by Nandini Nandakumar. Did I get that right?
Yes, you got it.
Did I actually?
100%.
Okay, first try. We'll take it. She is the global marketing director for Smirnoff under the Diageo portfolio. Super excited to chat today. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Daniel. Happy to be here.
Welcome back from your hiatus, your trip.
Oh, yes. I mean, feels like a long time ago. 1 week into the grind, I feel like that vacation was like long gone.
Well, I'll take it easy on you today, I promise. But we'll kick off with a fun one. What's an unpopular opinion you have in the marketing world or a hot take of sorts?
Okay. For take it easy, the first question is not so easy a conversation.
You can be as controversial as you would like, you know?
Okay, let's go for the full swing. So, okay, I would say the hot take that I have right now on marketing is I'm going to be a little provocative to say that have we lost our way in marketing? In what's the real power of marketing? I feel we have lately become more of performers versus real value creators. And let me double click on that a bit to say that, you know, I mean, the reason why I fell in love with marketing is because of the impact we can drive both on people and business. This is one of the rare fields which gives us that power in our hands to like really impacting lives of people and society at large, and also driving the business impact, both top line and bottom line, right? But lately, I feel that we have become more of communicators. We are so focused on communication side of marketing, all the levers that we can control versus really connecting the dots back into a commercial results for business. And the reason why I'm pushing us into that front is because the real power is when we are on the seat of table with the CXOs. And not being, you know, just used as a tool in the larger business context. And there is a lot of conversations about how CMOs and CEOs have to work together. And as a function, we need to drive that level of commercial results. Even in Cannes this year, right? The focus on bringing CEOs and CFOs and has been, you know, there has not been a year where there is so much of focus on us having to drive commercial results. I see a need for us to like really bring that job back on the table of marketers. So that's what I would, you know, put out there, Daniel, in terms of where we need to push even further on bringing back the art and science of marketing and really driving that impact on business along with people.
Do you think that has a lot to do with? I won't speak about anybody in particular, but leadership. Giving folks like you and directors and VPs, you know, short-term performance goals versus thinking of the big picture and bigger conversations around brand versus performance and things like that. When I hear, what you just said, the first thing comes to me, well, yeah, like really strong leadership empowers people to think that way versus thinking, oh, I have to like, you know, make sure this $1 we spent today yields $3 tomorrow, or like, you know, I'm not going to sleep at night. Do you think that has to do with leadership?
I would say, I mean, I'm a firm believer of, as marketers, we need to be entrepreneurs. And hence, it's kind of lazy for us to like put it back onto the leadership as a challenge. We should, as individual leaders and marketers, take that ownership on us to kind of really take that, directive on us to like focus on both short term and long term. I wouldn't say it's the trickle effect alone. It's also in our hands to kind of push, all the ways, your peers, your decision makers and stakeholders. So I would say the onus is on individuals, and as marketers at every level, be it the BM to an ABM to a director to a VP, whoever it is, or a CMO in that sense, right? The onus is on every individual. And but I completely resonate with what you are saying in terms of, as we are looking, or as we are taking up the task, I think we need to push even further. The current context of consumer sentiments, I think, is really pushing us to focus on the here and now, and hence short term. And I understand the context is changing. People are consuming very different mediums. There is, shrinking purse strings in that sense. So there is real headwinds that we are facing as leaders. And I think, so hence our first immediate response is to kind of correct the here and now. But I guess, let's not lose sight of the longer term. So while we deliver here and now, let's also look at longer term, both on business fronts, right? I mean, not just about how your inputs, marketing inputs are delivering in the short term in terms of is your engagement rates going up and down, or your click-throughs have improved, but also look at the share improvement. If you are in any segment, share improvements in the here and now, but are you also building value for the brands for the future? Let's have that long and short term lens to it, is what I would say.
I like it. A good segue into my next question. You've been at Diageo now for close to 10 years, which is, rare in my world, at least. I can't, think of a ton of people I know who've been at the same company for 10 years, which is awesome. You've probably seen a ton. Tell us a little about that journey, and also what you've seen, I'd say, in marketing in general, but I'm particularly interested, you had already talked a little bit about it, just consumer behavior and how you've seen it evolve over that period.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Diageo has been fantastic, both personally and professionally. I started as a brand manager on black and white whiskey, Scotch in India. And currently, I am the global marketing director for Smirnoff, which is a global role as well. In these entire 10 years, one year has been the same as the other. No, in fact, no other day is same as the other. There is a lot of like different challenges and opportunities which has been thrown at me, both career-wise or brand-wise, which has kept every day very interesting, Daniel. I mean, I wake up every day having with that intent of what can I really impact. As a person, I am all about driving impact. That's a big one for me, and I see an opportunity and challenge. Thanks to the sector, which keeps it very interesting, but also Diageo really entrusts a lot of us as leaders to push boundaries at every stage. So in my career within Diageo, I've been fortunate to kind of work on fantastic legacy brands like McDowell's in India or Smirnoff here in this current role. But also local jewels, a lot of brands like in India, there is a brand called Signature. So which is a challenger brand, right? So there are these brands which have very different stages and jobs to be done. So some are about reinventing legacy for a generation which is really changing. To your question on consumer sentiments, how does a whiskey drinker who is in his 25 years looking at a whiskey versus a 55-year-old who has grown used to a certain taste, versus on a brand like Smirnoff, where vodka is so evolving. I mean, people are choosing convenience, and hence how do we bring in ready to drinks for these users, but also play along with the versatility of liquid, which makes it unique for every user. You can have a different taste profile with the same one bottle. You can create many different tastes, things like that, right? So how do you really play along with times, people, and their preferences is what keeps the job interesting every other day.
I'm curious. I've had this conversation with some other folks who work in, I'll just lump it all in spirits in general. are you leaning into your core consumer? Are you, ebbing and flowing with trends that, I've at least seen in headlines of folks drinking less or moving towards maybe THC, drinks and CBD type stuff? Or is it, somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, so we have to evolve with time and the consumer preference. But at the same time, your core consumer, in terms of, we define our consumers not just by age and demographics. In that sense, it's also the attitude of consumers. Say, for example, on Smirnoff, we talk about vibe shifters. They are irrespective of your age and location and things like that. It's an attitude that people really look at, and based on that is how we kind of talk to that audience in a way that is relevant to them. In terms of consumer preference, there is we control the controllables. We are not so much focused on what are the alternate options. It's more about how can we make ourselves more relevant in a way that is that is making sense for them. So one of the shifts that we are really looking at is the emergence of ready to drink categories, right? I mean, convenience is a big factor for younger audience. So how do we present drinks in a ready to drink cans, like on Smirnoff Ice is a big portfolio in itself, where within Smirnoff trademark we have vodka, which is again ready to be mixed and enjoyed, but there is also a big business which is around the ready to drink Smirnoff Ice. So we just launched a new campaign which is really talking to the younger audience, possibly the younger vibe shifter audience, about how can we be refreshingly self-aware about what we are and what we are not. So it's all about making ourselves more relevant to newer drinkers, your core drinkers. But again, we follow the principle, Daniel, in terms of light bias, right? I mean, it is not just about your loyalist and things like that. Consumer segments are always about light bias. So how do we keep our frequency of reaching out to the light bias, because we are living in a leaky bucket situation, right? So there is no loyalty in that sense. So how do we talk to more consumers in the most relevant way in their buying purchase moments is what we focus on.
You're giving me all these natural segues. You may have just answered my next question. I think it's interesting because, I talk to a million marketing leaders, and some are always chasing trends and always chasing what's in the news and stuff like that and trying to insert their brand, which that works for some. And others kind of double down on, to your point, which I think you were saying, is we are who we are, and we can only control what we can control, and we should be the best version of ourselves and try to attract new and, simultaneously appeal to the folks who've always loved us. What is your best piece of advice for other marketing leaders about how to finish, 2025 super strong?
Yeah, I would say there is it's a world of changing landscape for sure. It is in no way to say that you can hold on to what got us to be big brands till date, right? So you have to evolve is what I would absolutely say. So there are three things that I would say. You need to be bold, and I'll double click on each of the three. So you need to be bold, empathetic, and curious, right? So the reason why I'm saying bold is because we are in a world where there is a lot of shifts, as I'm saying. So it requires us to take risk in how we communicate. So what has changed? What has changed, I feel, is more around how consumers consume media. The ways to reach consumers are now infinite. Your funnel, the traditional funnel, is broken. So you need to be bold enough to latch on to how consumers are consuming media and be experimentative, right? That's something which is very, very important. But at the same time, what hasn't changed is the fundamentals, right? We are always trying to create desirability for brands and demand for our brands, which is rooted in real brand truths and consumer truths. So that's something that hasn't quite changed, right? On second, about being empathetic, I think we are moving into a world of machines and AI So if our roles earlier was about capturing heart and minds of people, it is now moving into a heart and machines kind of a world. So I would say what will differentiate is us really driving emotional connect with our consumers, and that's something that is the reason why I'm saying we need to be even more empathetic, even more emotional. Human to human is something that is going to be so critical in the world of like LLMs in that sense, right? Language learning models and AIs in that sense. The third one is about being curious, right? Again, to all what I'm saying, then the platforms are changing, how we market is different. So stay curious, stay humble to kind of unlearn and learn in this landscape, or you are losing out, is what I would say.
Yeah, I think your job is harder than ever because I'd say there's this constant push-pull I hear lately of uh, what if the two things you just mentioned do not align? So how do
Yes.
you appeal to LLMs and AI recommending you, in certain scenarios versus appealing to your audience and, hitting on the emotion? But what if they don't? What if those are two separate worlds and how to like play those together? So I think the job of the marketer, plus all the channels, which changes every 12 seconds, and new platforms and such. I don't envy the marketer in 2025.
That keeps us on the toes as well, which keeps it interesting. So it's the double-sided aspect of the role that we have embraced, I guess.
I'd agree. I find, at least, with quote unquote big brands like Diageo, folks like you are getting hit up every 6 seconds by agencies, vendors, people who presume that because you are who you are, you're just sitting at your desk with a stack of cash, ready to dole out. I'm curious, is that the case for you? You're getting hit up everywhere on the internet, several times per day?
Yeah, I guess that is true. I mean, especially with social mediums like LinkedIn and the likes. Yes, there is a lot of like bombarding of constant reaching out from a lot of folks. That's true, Daniel. Yeah.
Well, you replied to me for the podcast request, so I know you're at least active on LinkedIn. But I'm curious, is there, I bridge the gap between agencies and brands. Is there anything an agency or a vendor even can do when you're not in market to catch your attention?
Um, I would say, I mean, I am a big believer of spontaneity, and I am a big believer of, a great idea can come from anywhere. And with so many changes, there might be, a lot in offer. So my message would be more around reach out, and you never know where things can really work out. So all of us are in the intent of wanting to make the right impact. I would keep my channel open is what I would say, though it can be.
You're going to get a lot of outreach from this now. Everybody's going to go, she said to reach out.
The only disclaimer I would say is, be patient, be empathetic to each other. I mean, we all want the right things to be done on the brand and the business. It's not out of lack of interest. It's more about us prioritizing what is the most critical at a certain point of time. And you would do the same, who is sending the message as well. So
then
that's
I'm
the only
honored
disclaimer.
you replied. You deemed this critical, so I'll take
See,
it.
the power of spontaneous conversations, I would say.
That's what I'm saying. I've seen a big shift, especially since COVID, but a little before. I came from a small, 20-person agency of bigger brands moving towards smaller, independent, specialized agencies who, even if they say they do 10 things, they do 1 to 2 things really, really well. Have you seen that trend, and just what do you think of that in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are all in a learn mode right now, and there is a lot of value that is being brought by boutique agencies. So I would say again to the point that I just made right now, right? Great ideas can come from anywhere. Great executions can come from anywhere. So we are always hungry to kind of really look at the possibilities. Having said that, I also see a lot of shape shifting happening with bigger agencies as well, bigger networks. So in the midst of all this, they are also really trying hard to drive relevance and adapting themselves in the way they are structured, in the way they are presenting ideas, which make them really nimble and agile in a newer world order in that sense. So I would say both, and I'm always up for both these models coexisting as well.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Can you think of a really great agency experience you've had in the past, whether at, Diageo or elsewhere?
A lot, Daniel. I mean, I feel really privileged to have come across some fantastic agencies, fantastic humans across these multiple years. Um,
That's the secret. There's no great agencies, just great people.
just great people, right? I mean, I think I'm, like I said, I'm so humble to say that I have had the privilege to have that exposure early on in my journey with Diageo as well, that you come across great minds who are ready to kind of really respect, trust. I think what I've really enjoyed is when it's a mutually respectful, mutually trusting relationship. And that's when, like the old saying, right? I mean, you get the work that you deserve is something that I live by every day. So I strive to be a better, marketer, partner. And partnership is how I always identify my relationship with agencies. It's never a client on one side and you're sitting across a table. And that has given me some fantastic work, some fantastic friendships. And yeah, and I've seen I mean, both in India, Ireland, or in actually all the three places that I've been, I've come across, irrespective of culture differences. India is so different from an Ireland or right now in the States. But I see that relationships is the same across culture, across geographies, and that's what I'm seeing where. I've seen agencies do a fantastic comeback. And that's something that I felt so happy and so inspired to see how agencies, when there is actual feedback in terms of how can you push even further, they have put in that effort to kind of really turn around, and those kind of work and those kind of relationships has even gone further than where we started from in that sense, right? So yeah, a couple of those is what I can recall in terms of, but yes, overall fantastic. And a lot of what I do is dependent on great partnerships.
I think it's interesting. You're speaking my language. Before you mentioned the word work, in any capacity, you mentioned trust, you mentioned respect, and you mentioned relationships. My, quote unquote, hot take is that the work doesn't matter, and of course the work matters. But what I mean by that is you don't get to even do good work or great work if you don't like each other and you don't mesh and the relationship stuff isn't there. You can be the best agency on the planet, but if you don't vibe with who you are working
Totally.
with, you don't pull it out of each other. So I think it's great to hear that that's kind of your philosophy as well. I'm curious on the other side, if you can think of a bad agency or a negative agency experience you've had in the past and what made it, not as good as what you just described.
Yeah, I think like any relationship, right? I mean, there is always ups and downs in relationship, and one of the things that I can think of is whenever the agency partnership becomes transactional and the agencies play into politics, internal politics versus really, and getting into a bit of like selling in versus like really partnering to solve a challenge together. That's where I have had my what can I say, tougher rights with agencies, when that's the philosophy of an agency of, playing into the politics versus really working together on what's right for the brand, is where I have felt a lot more of, friction to say that. Yeah, that's what I can say.
That's a much more nice way of talking about a bad experience, calling it a friction, I think. I like
Yeah,
that. I'm gonna
I mean, it's all about, like I said, any relationship. You can always try to kind of come around.
It happens in every client. I mean, even again, the honeymoon phase lasts, 2 to 3 months. There's always some, I find at least, when I finish a search, everybody's happy, everybody's in the honeymoon phase. There's always something, some stressor that occurs in like, it could happen the first week, but
Yes.
it could also happen in month 3. It's how they get through their first thing.
Bonding beyond just the honeymoon phase in that sense. Yeah.
100%, because at some point, which is why when I get to the end sometimes, I never tell the brand who to hire, but they'll say like, hey, we like, these two groups, and they both seem on paper very similar. And one of the, the questions I tell them to ask themselves, if it's 8 o'clock on a Friday night and I don't know, the website goes down or, something, an actual marketing emergency, who do you trust to pick up their
Yes,
phone or
absolutely.
reply to a text or, do whatever they can to make the catastrophic situation better and not ruin the weekend for everyone. So
Totally. Yeah.
I'm curious, what are you most excited about in the marketing space at the moment? You mentioned AI a little bit. I'm curious. We got AI, in-person experiences are back. What are you most excited about?
Oh, there is a lot to be excited. I mean, while we talked about how challenging it is, this is also what keeps it so exciting. I think what I'm most excited as we go into this year, or as we continue, is role of AI. Definitely something for us to all kind of embrace and then adapt. I'm reading so much about how we need to kind of adapt into a world of from a search engine optimization to a generative engine optimization, how brands present themselves to these machines, which is almost like the eye into the life of consumers in that sense, right? I mean, people are not searching anymore; they are asking Gemini, they are asking AI on what's the recommendation. So, how do you play into the machines is something that I am very excited about. Again, second thing of continuing to drive that empathy, human to human connect. Going forward, as a person, as a leader, that's something that is a strength of mine, of being able to like think with head and heart. I would love to like embrace that a lot more as we go into next year and continue this year in that sense. And overall, the provocation with which I started off, right, of saying how do we drive more growth and importance of marketing to drive growth, business growth is something that, and commercial results is something that I am driving and committing to as we speak, right? So these are the three things that I would underline.
Okay. What on the other side, what keeps you up at night or stresses you out from a marketing or business standpoint, or just the landscape in general at the moment?
There is a lot out there, Daniel. I think it's more about prioritizing and then responding and then staying curious. I think it's more complacency is one thing that I'm like scared of. So how do you stay relevant? How does your brand stay relevant? Is something that it takes deliberate effort to kind of evolve. So I would say that's something that I am pushing myself and something which keeps me up. And of course, I mean, when you have a campaign going, none of us sleep. So it's a combined effort. So there is something in the kitchen which is cooking for us. So that keeps me up a lot these days, to to present to the world what we have been creating on Smirnoff.
Oh, I hope you get some sleep soon. We'll finish with some fun ones. What was your very first job?
Okay. I interned with Unilever while I was I was doing my MBA. This was on Pons. It was in brand marketing, and I fell in love with it absolutely. It was just 2 months of that, grounding that I had, but
You were hooked.
I was hooked, and I came back into brand marketing right because of that experience. I had a lot going into the role, but then what I got out of the role was even bigger than what I imagined. So that's my first and fantastic experience.
Okay. What would your final meal be?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm a hardcore foodie, so I will struggle to make my pick, I would say. I don't know. It has to be something with fish. I'm from a very coastal area of India, so I'm sure it has to be fish.
Well, you got to give me something. What fish? In what form?
It has to be a authentic Kerala fish curry, which is like the state that I'm from is Kerala, so it has to be an authentic fish curry.
Okay. All right. Fair. And then my final question: who's somebody who inspires you personally, professionally, or both?
Ah. A lot of people, but if I have to like do a quick call out, there are personally, I'll start with the personal inspiration. 3 men in my life who are so important: my dad, my partner, and my son.
Okay.
For very, very different reasons.
Not necessarily in that order, right? You don't
I will. You are getting me in trouble if I
I
have
was
to
gonna
like.
say, I don't. Yeah, you choose how to interpret that.
But yeah, my son, he keeps me curious. He's a 13-year-old who keeps me on my toes. My husband with his, selfless caring, and my dad, being an entrepreneur himself, he has always inspired me. So three of them. And from a professional life, I have to say Leena Nair. She has been a fantastic leader who is now Chanel's global CEO. She has risen from very humble backgrounds in India to such a fantastic pivotal role. She has been a source of inspiration.
I love it. Before we wrap up, is there anything going on? Any new campaigns from Smirnoff? Anywhere you want to direct the audience listening in?
Yes.
Let's get those click-through rates going. You know?
Yes. Of course, Smirnoff Ice. We just launched our first ever global campaign. We are 25 years into existence, and the campaign is all about how this brand and this, this can is being refreshingly self-aware about itself, all the pluses and minuses. So a big shout out to the entire crew who has put this together. We had a fantastic partnership with McCann and Bond Social, Bulletproof. I'll stop referring all the agencies. Smarts, Taste. There is a lot of us who have been working tirelessly to get this up and running. The campaign is launched, and we are loving every bit of it. And it is live across the market. So we partnered with Brazil, but it's there across the world. So that's one thing that I would love to give a shout out to.
All right, everybody go buy some Smirnoff Ice. Thank you so much for joining. This was awesome. I appreciate you taking the time.
Perfect. Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you for checking out this episode of You Should Talk To. This show is brought to you by the company with the same name, You Should Talk To, a company that helps marketing leaders find the right agency or freelancer for their situation. If you enjoyed what you learned in this episode, make sure to follow You Should Talk To wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or visit YouShouldTalkTo.com for more information.